Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Jesse, also known as Sublime, and in today's video we are at another 100k sit and go table tournament. Now, as you guys can tell by the title, we did win this, but I do want to forewarn you, this was a wild ride. This was one of the best tables that I've played in for a while. My man on the other side of the table, Steve Martin, very good friend. I played in a lot of tournaments with him. He also lives in Canada, so we got along fairly well talking about Canada and stuff like that, and just the general atmosphere, besides the guy to the right of me here, who was permanently muted, was great. Very fun table to play with, and if anybody on this table's watching, thank you so much for the fun game. I had a lot of fun shooting the shit with you guys, and just having a fun game. Now, you guys know I like to add in just kind of the beginnings here, just so I can do my little intro and talk to you guys for a little bit. We didn't end up winning this hand, unfortunately, but all the next hands are going to be fun ones to watch. So let's get right into her. So starting off here, we get a pocket jiggities right off the bat. I'm thinking in my head, I fucking hate this hand. Every time I get it, I always lose, and that's usually the case. Whenever I get the jiggities, I usually just jiggity away because I can't fucking stand them. But here, you know, I do got a good pair pre-flop, so I do raise the bet to 145. Now, as I'm waiting for everybody to call me, this is still the full table, so we're very early on into the tournament. I'm sitting around waiting for people to call. People are glitching out. But just in general, you'll see me, you know, looking in the direction of the people who I'm talking to. So we got 3 callers here. We got Homegirl, Devin, and myself. The flop comes out 3, 2, 10. Two diamonds are on the board, so very concerning. Nonetheless, we still got top pair on the board. We throw out a bet for 200. Homegirl calls. Devin calls. I'm thinking, okay, maybe somebody has diamonds. Maybe somebody has a 10. Maybe somebody has a 2 pair. I don't know what's going on. Nonetheless, they both check, so I rifle out another bet, but this time I rifle it out for 400. Homegirl takes a second to look at her cards, and she folds. Devin doesn't even look at her cards, and she just kind of folds it away too. I show my jiggities, and away we go. We run away with that pot. Next hand, we got a 10-9. Still a full table, so still very early on in the tournament. This hand was kind of crazy, so you guys need to see this here. I always love hands like this when I'm on a losing end, which I was, so I was fairly happy with this hand. So it comes out 7, 9, 10. We obviously hit a 2 pair, which is a very nice flop to start with. Everybody's checking, so I said, you know what, let's spice it up a little bit. I throw out a bet for 125. Donald Trump. We're sitting here waiting on his action. Donald Trump folds the cards away. Goes over to Christopher. He calls it for 125. Stevie over here, he ends up folding away his cards. He's looking. He says, you know what, fucking, I'm going to fold it. Rupert, 23, folds it as well. We're heads up between me and Christopher. It comes up an 8 of diamonds. We both check it, and then a 6 of diamonds. I'm thinking, okay, somebody has a straight. I have a straight. We both end up having a straight, but he had the straight that was beating me. So I was happy for that 6 to come out, and I was happy that we took that pot home. Next hand we got here is a pocket 9s. Everybody's still on the table, so still very early on. We're getting really good hands to start things off and to build our stack, which is awesome to do when the blinds are low. We just call it for 30 though. 9s are very deceiving. Yes, they're a high pair, but you also got to remember a 10, a jack, a queen, a king, and an ace all beat our pocket 9s. So we just end up calling it. Homegirl raises it to 100. We're heads up between me and Homegirl. Comes out 7, 10, 6. The only hand that's beating us is if she has a 10. The 4 comes out. We're still looking pretty good. She didn't bet for the 10 last time. Maybe she's betting for clubs. She's trying to bet, but she can't bet. She ends up just throwing a little bet out for 100. I remember this hand very distinctly. She ends up throwing it right at me. How rude. But she did apologize and said she didn't mean to do that. The 6 comes out, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe she has a 6, maybe she has a 4. We both end up checking. I do end up taking it home. I do win a $445 pot there. The next hand we got immediately right after our pocket 8s, and I couldn't actually believe this. We had pocket 9s, and then we had pocket 8s immediately after for the next hand. So everybody's folding it away. It's not what we like to see. But nonetheless, everybody checks. And the flop comes out 6 ace ace. When two of the same cards come out, you think of one of two things. The odds of somebody having an ace that's still in the hand is pretty high. Or nobody has an ace at all and the odds of having an ace are very low. I decided to go down the route of having an ace is fairly low. So I just ended up checking it out. Or very high, sorry. So I just ended up checking it out and we did end up taking that pot home. The next hand we got here is a Jack Queen offsuit. You know, it's a very nice hand for any straight draws. Anything coming around. As we're waiting around to for everybody to kind of call. I don't raise it. I don't do anything like that. It's not a strong hand to kind of raise with in PokerStars VR. The ranges are so high in PokerStars VR, so a lot of the stuff you'll see on the tables here compared to real life poker are completely different. So in real poker, I would have probably 3-betted Jack Queen, but in PokerStars VR, somebody with an 8-5 might have called that and they would have had a full house. But nonetheless, we both end up checking it out. There's 2 8s on the boards, 2 9s on the boards. We end up taking it home with with high card Queen, and we end up winning that pot and taking it home. The next set of cards we got is an Ace 10. Just end up calling it. Like I said, you know, the ranges are so high, and we kind of want to feel what other people are betting with. Donald Trump raises it to 160. People are folding, people are calling. My man Steve's in it. Breadhead ends up giving it a call. Rupert ends up giving it a call, and myself, I say, fuck it, why not? Let's go for a call ourselves. Comes out Ace 5 Queen. We have top pair with the ace, but we might not have the kicker, so... But people are checking it. We're in position here to raise it now. People are checking unless he's check raising. Donald Trump throws out a bet for 500. This should get most of the people off of the table. But clips you guys haven't seen was that Donald Trump, this guy named Donald Trump 2024, was raising very questionably. He was raising with second, third, fourth pair on the board. So I kind of just let him do all the work here. Nobody wants to see just a yellow avatar sitting on the table like that anyways, so I kind of let him do all the work, let him dig his own grave, and he ends up calling it, and yeah, he kind of dug his grave like Trump dug his grave in the 2020 election, so I end up taking that home, and you know, we kick Trump out of here. The next set of cards we got is an Ace 4 of spades. We're still on the 40-80 blinds, so still fairly early into the tournament. As you can see, Trump is still sitting there. I guess he wanted to watch me, you know, just keep winning in the polls. So, yeah, but Stevie over here, he ends up raising it to 280. Very reasonable bet. Trying to kick people off the table. You'll see why he raised it that high in the first place. 280 to me, with what my chip stack was very low, so I did end up calling it. And it does pay off. We end up seeing 2 spades on the board. He checks it out, and we end up seeing the 3rd spade. We got the highest flush on the table. We basically have the nuts at this point, unless something crazy happens. No, we did have the nuts in that situation. I raised up to him. I bet 225, and Steve made the great call in folding there. I was very happy to see that. Steve is a very well-versed poker player. He's going to WSOP in New York, actually. I think in 3 weeks, he was telling me. So, you know, he's good at poker, and I was just glad I could take him off of that hand. I end up showing the table the brand new Discord prop here, which is the fishbowl. It might not look like it, but in game, it is fucking humongous. It's huge. Yeah, but to get back to poker, though, we got an 8-3 in the big blind position, so we just end up checking it away. So you can see homegirl's just kind of sitting there taking a sip out of the fishbowl. But the flop comes out 4-3-8. Very good for us. We got a 2 pair with a very shitty hand, very unsuspecting. So if somebody has maybe like a 9 here, we have an 8-3 2 pair. We're just hoping for like an ace or a king to come out to kind of for somebody else to pair so we can take their chips. I bet 120. Everybody ends up folding though. I thought it was a pretty reasonable bet since it was literally the minimum you can bet, but everybody was kind of scared and just folded away. The next set of cards was immediately after we got a queen 8. And I had to take a sip of this this big fishbowl to kind of get my nerves flowing. I was getting a little bit nervous with how many people were still in it at the 60-120, so I had to take a little sip. I put it on the chair beside me where Trump used to stay. But yeah, I saw, oh shit, you can pour it now too. So I was pouring it, I was having a good time, and the flop came out 7 queen 6, so we do match up our queen. And the slurping sounds for this thing was very annoying. So my bright idea here, as you can see I'm being kind of an idiot, was to sit back and dump the fishbowl into my mouth. Yeah, I love kind of doing that, and as you can see, homegirl there is actually opening up her box, which is quite funny as she was opening it up on the table. But nonetheless, 8 comes out, we match up our 2 pair, we end up betting, and we end up taking that home. An ace-3 we get for our next hand. We're sitting pretty well on a table. I mean, we're almost 2-1 to the next person, chip leader, so we're sitting fairly well. We're the king on this table, which is very, very nice. As you can see, homegirl goes all in. I'm looking, I'm deciding, I'm like, okay, 905, I'd be down to 3,000, I'd still be chip leader. Ace-3, you know, can win hands. But what does she have? I'm thinking maybe, you know, maybe a 2 pair or something, or, you know, 2 high cards, and she does end up pulling an ace king of diamonds, but the 3 comes out on the flop with a 4-5. A queen of hearts, and then a 5 of diamonds, which is unfortunate that she lost that way, but we did end up taking that pot home, and now we're very much ahead of everybody. We're 5,300 now. We got a king 5 on the small blind. We're sitting comfortably. We're living life. We're having a good old time here. It's 150 to call now as the blinds are 150 to 300. The seats are dwindling down. We're down to the final 4 here. It's between me and Christopher. It goes 7-8-5. Both end up checking. A 10 pops up. Again, both end up checking. 3 pops up. We got third pair on the board. We both end up checking. I end up taking it home. He had absolutely nothing. We take home a $600 pot. The next set of cards we got is a 10-10. We got 2 10s. Again, just like the jiggities, very deceiving. You know, like I said, a jack can take it, a queen can take it, a king can take it, and an ace can take it. That's 4 cards ahead of us, right? So when we say king 7-8, we're a little bit scared here, because if somebody has a king, they're automatically beating us at this point. But another 8 shows up, so we're hoping, you know, if everybody just checks it out like I did here, a 10 pops up, an 8 pops up, and luckily a 10 did pop up, so this is great news for us. Right away we snap all in. We don't want anybody, you know, taking down this pot. And there's actually the person to the left of me there who was still in it. Steve Martin, this was one of the more impressive plays I've seen him do. He had actually ace-king. And he was able to tell that I had a full house right away. Obviously, the all-in didn't help. I bet you if I maybe raised it a little less than all-in, he would have called. But very impressive fold, not going with that. Everybody ends up folding. And we're heads up with the person who hasn't been at the table since the opening blind. So we end up taking that home. We take home a $750 pot. And we're up to $5,500 on the table now. I won a couple hands in between. It was nothing of note, though. We're up to $6,500 now. And we got an ace-king of diamonds. Very, very strong hand. Royal flush potential. But we're not going to see a royal flush. Nonetheless, we're going to see a 3 of a kind on the flop. I throw out a bet of 400 minimum bet you can put out. Everybody gets scared. And everybody folds. Nobody wants to fuck with me on this table because I've been winning and winning lots. And And it was nice to see that people were actually scared of me, because it put me in a position where, you know, I control the pace of the game. And that's ultimately what you want in poker, is to kind of, you know, control the pace of the game. Because if you don't control the pace of the game, then, you know, it's not a good time. But we get a 10 queen here on the big blind. And, yeah, at this point, Breadhead is beating us, but I still feel like we are controlling this game. A lot of people are going off of what I'm doing, and it's nice to see. So we do pull off the pair of 10s here on the turn. The flop came out 6, queen, 5, and then the ace came up. I'm thinking, okay, there's 2 over pairs on me. He ends up checking it. Since he checked it, I had to give him a little raise, or I min raised it 400. He sits here, he thinks. He doesn't want to smoke, and he just ends up folding it. Next hand we got here is an ace-jack and a small blind. Very nice hand to have. Very 2 strong overcards. Well, ace is the strongest card you can get, with a nice kicker with a jack. And we're in a small blind, so we just call for 200. It's getting a little expensive to play poker, so we want to slow it down a bit. We end up hitting our jack. And like Trump earlier, Christopher was making some questionable all-ins and winning them with very low pairs. So when I hit the jack, the second pair on the board, I decided to call them all in, which was the right decision. We end up winning 2,400 on a pot, and we're back up in a very strong position, chip leader once again. We did end up losing a couple hands to Breadhead here. I didn't want to show those. They weren't really too interesting. It was really bad beats. Or not bad beats, it's just stupid decisions by myself. But nonetheless, we got an ace-queen here. It comes out king, king, 4, 6, queen on the board itself. We do match our queens, as there's 2 kings on the board. I couldn't just raise it and have a good time, so I just take the pot for 450. Our friend Stevie here ends up getting eliminated by Breadhead, so we're heads up now. I have a queen 9, and the rest of the video isn't being cut. Whenever I go heads up, I like to kind of commentate on what's going on at the time. So we're heads up now between me and Breadhead. This guy was a comeback king. He doubled up like 4 or 5 times on this table. Every time he was down, he always showed resilience and came back. But nonetheless, we got an 8-8 here on the big blind. He's definitely beaten us in chips. He just ends up folding it though, and we throw away our cards to him and say, hey man, I really wanted to play that. But we didn't. Next set of cards that we got is a 3-8, and I just end up folding it right away. I don't want no part of that. Next cards we get though is a 2-4 on the big blind, which was you know, very scary to have in this position, but we do end up hitting the 4. We both end up checking it here, and an 8 comes out, and I'm thinking, you know, what can we do to kind of scare him a bit? Like I said, I was controlling a lot of the pace on this poker table. So he's looking around, he's trying to make up his mind, and he just ends up folding. And that's what's nice about controlling the pace of the game, is that you can kind of dictate how the hands are going to go, and you can dictate a lot of things if you're playing right in poker. But here we got a 9 jack. It comes out ace 9 8. We're in a small blind, so he checked, we act. You know, if he would have had an ace, I figured he would have snap called, but he took a little bit of time, so he just called. 6 comes up. I'm thinking in my head, you know, what can be the worst that can happen here? I end up throwing out another $800 bet here, and Breadhead ends up calling it again. As you can see, the timing for him was, it took him a while to make up his decision, so I just end up checking it though. I didn't want any of that smoke that he was having, and we were right in our instincts that he did not indeed have nothing, or he did indeed have nothing. We end up pulling out a jack ace here on the big blind, so now the action's on us. We end up throwing out $1,200 as the bet, as we just want his blinds and just keep moving on. Very nice from us now. We're up to, how much are we up to now? Let's see. We're up to 7,400. We're easily beating them in chips now. We got an 8 ace. As you guys know, when I get an ace in my hands, I like to play it, especially in heads up. So, we match up our 8s. We throw out a bet for 1,000. Breadhead ends up calling it. He wants the smoke. He wants it all. A 3 ends up coming out on a turn, and then a king. I'm not buying it from Breadhead. He ends up throwing out a bet for 800. I snap call right away, and I don't buy it. And either he had an 8 or he had like a 5 or a 3. But we did end up taking that pot home. We're up to 9,600 now to Breadhead's 1,160. He ends up going all in. I only have a 5-4. But I end up calling him. The flop comes out 2, 6, 8. Ace. 10. Breadhead ends up taking it home. We did have a straight draw, but nothing came out of it. We needed that 7, and a 7 didn't show up. The next hand we got a queen 5. I just ended up folding it away though. Didn't want it. I didn't want it. Didn't want to play it. Didn't feel confident, so I just felt more confident in folding that away. For the next hand, we got a 6 queen. We're on the big blind, so we just get to check it. We don't have to do much about it. Comes out 9, 10 queen. We end up throwing out a bet for 1,000, and Breadhead ends up calling it. Another queen pops up. We got 3 of a kind queens on the big blind position. We end up throwing out another $1,000 bet. Breadhead ends up calling it again. Another heart shows up. Kind of gave me a little bit of goosebumps there, but nonetheless, we throw out another V of 1,000. And Breadhead ends up folding. He didn't want it. He didn't want the smoke. And yet we had all the smoke, and we ended up winning that shit. Next cards we got are a 5 and an 8. Small blind position. He ends up going all in. We're heads up. Comes out 3, 4 jack. All clubs. Then an 8 pops up. We're winning. And we end up winning this tournament with a 5-8 offsuit. I end up giving this guy fist bumps saying, good game, everybody. And yeah, so this is the 100K sit and go win. Very long video. It took me a long time to edit and do all this. So I thank you guys for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting. And yeah, we ended up winning. And I'm just sitting here celebrating. Yeah, we had a good time. It was a lot of fun. And as you guys know, in all my videos, I like to come and celebrate with the trophy. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching. You guys are some of the best fans on YouTube. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye now.